Bachelor's from Cal State Long Beach in philosophy, and then he's also a CEO in his own right. He found a shirt company that kind of it's like a clothing brand for the super conscious aspect of reality. I'm kidding, I just made those words up. And he also distributes spiritual literature, and he really wants to use his knowledge of business, arts, and also the knowledge of higher consciousness and awareness, and just share it with all you guys. And so without further ado, we're going to talk about, what was it? The power of human consciousness, right?
No, it's the power of humans right there.
All right, you know better than I do. All right, so without further ado, let's welcome Hari Bhakta.
Well, thank you everyone for being here. I'm super thankful. For Raju. We used to be roommates. Therefore, we're like brothers, and we could just go at it anytime with no harm done. Yeah, so tonight, titled the talk, The Power of Human, which I think is a very important topic since I think everyone here is human. And
you think.
So I want to endeavor, my endeavor today is to try to take you guys on a journey as best as I can. In terms of the different visuals that I'll show you guys, the different explanations, the different experiences that I've gotten in terms of studying yoga philosophy for the last 7 years, give or take. And yeah, I'm super excited. I made the flyer, you can tell. And yeah, let's get started. So one question that I want to put out there before we move forward is, what does it mean to be human? We all have an experience. A lot of us here are in our 20s, even younger, or a little bit older. And so to you guys, what does it mean to be human? If anyone can say.
Love.
Love.
Hey girls.
Huh?
Hey girls.
Girls?
Pay girls.
To create.
To create.
To connect.
To connect.
To ask.
Yeah.
To ask. Yeah, these are all good points. I could tell that everyone's on that level. Yeah.
Just to fulfill your purpose.
Full purpose. Yeah, I agree with all of those actually. To me, it's all of those things and also a life of responsibility. I feel like being human, we have a lot of independence, and when we come together, we could do either a lot of good for the world, or, sometimes as we see, there's a lot of calamities that goes on, sometimes even chaos. And so, in order to begin our visual presentation, I want to jump immediately to a clip which sort of embodies human civilization from the perspective of the outside. But what I mean by the outside is literally satellites viewing the Earth from space. And so, are you guys ready? Let's see if we can click this. Okay, so we're gonna have to switch the sound really quick to the computer. To the TV.
It's holding.
Question, how does this? Yeah, we're gonna try to switch the sound of the TV so you guys get the full experience. Let's see if we can switch.
You guys can talk among yourselves.
Yeah, intermission really quick.
What do you think it means to be
Comcast, these things.
I was in a psychology class and I actually presented on this topic, self-concept, and he was asking us what is a self-concept?
Alright, we're back. Everyone sit down.
What is a self-concept? It's like the idea of who you are.
Here we go.
I always knew
Any immediate thoughts that come to mind?
Doesn't look good.
Yeah.
Capitalism.
I think what you said about being human and the constant responsibility is very pertinent, because clearly we are the only animals on Earth that are doing anything that widespread and destructive.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Because one of the questions that came to mind when I was watching is are we a misdirected civilization? Are we in the right course of path? And are we striving collectively, not just like one person or a small group of individuals, but collectively in order to actually live harmoniously with the earth? And this goes to say that human beings have a very special position here on the earth. It's very crucial, because even the little things that we do can have a bigger impact, especially when we move collectively. And it definitely goes back to saying that human life is a life of responsibility in many ways. One of the ways why human life is a life of responsibility is because within the human form of life, according to the ancient texts of India, we're easily adapted to certain opulences, certain characteristics that, say, permeate the whole of the universe when it comes to consciousness. And those 6 things, I'll explain to you. One of them is wealth, fame, beauty, strength, knowledge, and renunciation. When we explore these things, we can come to a certain conclusion that whenever somebody has fame, beauty, strength, wealth, knowledge, and renunciation, we become attracted to these people. If a billionaire were to come inside the room and we knew of him or her, all eyes would be on this person. Perhaps we want something from them. Perhaps we want knowledge or wisdom or some money. And same goes with beauty. We become attracted to beauty, and it's not just external beauty, it can be beauty from the inside. And strength, and knowledge, and renunciation, meaning that we can become renounced from these things, which allow us to become stronger. Because when we become attached to perhaps fame or wealth, or even beauty, and we lose it, then there's suffering, because we were attached to those things. So renunciation is a very unique quality. And the whole of human beings, it's a very unique thing, because we're able to have some of these qualities to a very minute degree. And they actually move the whole world in terms of civilizations. Because if one has beauty, one can do it, one can use beauty for like the purpose of something higher, beauty from the inside, external beauty even, to be able to help others, to engage others, to communicate with us, to communicate a message. wealth is an extremely important one, because wealth can corrupt the whole world, or it could actually literally move mountains. You could create eco-villages. You could bring centers up like this in order to wake people up. Fame is also important because you can show influence. People will listen to you, and especially if you have a good message, you have a lot of impact. Same with knowledge, strength, so on and so forth. And if you flip it around, these things used in a negative way create a powerful impact on the world as well. So these things that the human being has is very unique, because the animals, they might have some of these things. Nowadays, even pets are famous on Instagram. So, but the human being is fully in touch with these things to certain degrees. One thing that's crazy to think about is that all these things, they are very unique for the human being, but at the same time, they're not really the gist of it all. They can be used for purpose of higher consciousness, but they're not the full spectrum of what the human being, what it means to be a human being. And one of those things, can anyone say off the top of their mind? Because they're temporary. We might have these things for some time. Any of those qualities, we might have them. But throughout the course of time, time will eventually destroy these things. These things will wither away. And so they're not really the core essence of human life. Moving forward, we're not alone in this planet, as you can see in this picture. That was me back in 10th grade. We're surrounded by a variety of species throughout the whole world. Even in the palm of our hand, there's about 1,500 bacteria. Inside our body, I read that there's about 39 trillion cells. I mean, what to speak of the tree outside? It's just, we're just surrounded by life. We're surrounded by just the whole spectrum of beauty that is in itself something majestic. One thing that's beautiful that the ancient texts explain is that we're actually all equal in the sense that we're all spiritual beings. Right now, we have the body of human beings where we could ask questions, we could inquire deeper. And we also have emotions, but at the same time, the animal can also have emotions. I used to be extremely connected to my dog. Shouts out to Floppy, who he actually passed away about 4 years ago. And kid you not, I was actually training my dog for spiritual advancement in little ways. Like I would chant with him this mantra. He would actually know this mantra by heart, because every time that I would like just meditate on this mantra and I would like chant it or sing it, then I would always go outside. So my dog, every time that he heard me, he knew that it was time to go outside. So every time that I would chant, like he would get all excited and he just knew the mantra. So I was trying to help him. I was trying to help him out spiritually in the best way possible, because I understood that he was actually a spiritual being embodied in that particular body that didn't allow him to, dig deeper in life. And so, next visual is a beautiful visual explaining, not even explaining, just showing the beauty of the animal kingdom. And so I'm very excited because I used to want to be a zoologist, up until the point that it was mathematics and stuff. So any thoughts that came to mind? For me, I thought it was like super majestic.
Yeah. You can see the animals
right.
emotions.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just fascinated by like such beauty, and it makes me think about the nature of the animal, because the ancient yoga texts also explain the main propensities of the animal kingdom, which I'll share with you guys right now. One of them is eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. It is said that the whole essence of the animal species is based on these four propensities, where they're just living to eat, to maintain their body, to defend themselves, and to procreate. And one thing that's interesting is that if we compare that to the human being, this is a thought experiment. If the human being is simply eating, mating, sleeping, and defending, they're kind of like on that level of the animal, if they're not really like digging deep, inquiring deeper about the nature of reality. And you know, we live in a society that has infused this propensity of sensual desires, and it's no surprise that a lot of the ads that we see on TV, a lot of the billboards are targeted to just immediately gratify our senses, because it's innately in us. We could even see it in the animal kingdom, because this next visual that I'm about to show you guys is just a slight reminder of how animals can compare to humans in some degrees. And so this one's going to be pretty cool, because it's going to take us back to tropical jungles. Are you guys ready for this one?
Yes.
So just a quick framework on this clip. I had to skip it just to go to the juicy parts. But right here you're going to have a bird in his bachelor pad. A companion comes and he's trying to impress the other birds to the best of his ability. He created like beautiful geometric shapes.
Oh yeah. You see this?
And you just gotta check it out.
Certainly eye-catching, but it seems he needs to do more.
He's having a seizure. A sexy seizure.
It's all going so well, it's time to get physical, with a few headbutts to digest.
That's so weird. She's like doing Jackson.
Something's wrong. His rival is back.
Oh no, you dropped the berry.
No, the moment has gone.
So that was me in my last life. That was the other bird. So any thoughts on that one? Alright, so you guys get a glimpse right at the animal kingdom similarities with humans. It's crazy because as we come to the human experience, we see that human beings are at a far greater stage in life in comparison to the animals. And you could clearly see that with so many things, through culture, through music, style, art. We each have our own individual identity. We like certain things, certain flavors, certain colors. For example, my favorite color is burgundy. I like certain styles of music, usually masterpieces. And you know, it's crazy because we come from different parts of the world and we're all born at different times. And if you want to get into metaphysics, we each have an individual fingerprint within the cosmos. If we look at Vedic astrology, each and every one of us has a particular type of nature because of the influence of the stars, the particular type of location that we were born. And so this brings a lot of flavors to the human being, and you could see why we have a lot of influence on the earth. We have so many different parts of the world that just brings a whole different experience about human life. And in order to move forward to the next clip, which is a pretty mind-blowing one, we must first explore why the human being is so inquisitive, why we like certain things. A lot of us here are dressed in so many different ways and speak a variety of different languages, so it comes from a flavor. Now, one question to keep in mind is, where do these flavors come from? Where does our inquisitiveness come from? It goes through many different spectrums, the human experience. Some people are very adventurous. Some people like to stay at home in the comfort of their own walls. On this next visual presentation that I'm about to show you guys, or this visual, just visual in general, it's going into the life of a man who feeds off of thrill. Have you guys ever heard of this movie called Free Solo?
Yeah.
So this next clip embodies, to me at least, it embodies the experience of freedom when it comes to the human being. Once your surroundings allow you to frame your whole life that you have a lot of freedom, you almost feel invincible. You feel that there is no impossible, that everything's possible. So if you guys are ready, this clip actually gets my hands sweaty. Just a warning.
Does it feel different to be up there without a rope? It's obviously like much higher consequence.
People who know a little bit about climbing are like, oh,
Can
he's
you guys
totally
hear?
safe. And then people who really know exactly what he's doing are freaked out.
I've thought about that like for years, and every year I'm like, that's really
Let's
scary.
start it again so we get a
I'll
good
never be content.
sound for the people in the back.
I've seen this movie twice, so I'll watch the trailer a couple times too.
Does it feel different to be up there without a rope? It's obviously like much higher consequence.
People who know a little bit about climbing are like, oh, he's totally safe. And then people who really know exactly what he's doing are freaked out.
I've thought about El Cap like for years, and every year I'm like, that's really scary. I'll never be content unless I at least put in the effort. El Cap is the most impressive wall on Earth.
It's 3,200 feet of sheer granite. It's the center of the rock climbing universe.
I was gonna get interview questions about it all the time. Oh, would you like to do that? You're like, yes, for sure.
So you're a girlfriend now, I heard.
It's awesome. Pretty much makes life better in every way.
It's really hard for me to grasp why he wants this. But if he doesn't do this stuff, he'd regret it.
Everybody who has made free soloing a big part of their life is dead now.
I haven't been injured in like 7 years. I suddenly start getting injured all the time.
What if something happens? What if I don't see him again?
I could just walk away, but it's like, I don't want to.
I've
solely just because it's so dangerous. It's hard to not imagine your friend falling through the frame to his death.
I think when he's freaked away is where he feels the most alive, the most everything. How can you even think about taking that away from somebody?
The stakes too high.
Turn to confront.
If you're pushing the edge, eventually you find the edge.
Careful you get that kill. Jamie, take off. Just started playing.
Damn. Any thoughts?
It takes practice.
Yeah, definitely. He must have just studied every single move in order for it to go flawlessly. And so that says a lot, at least to me, about the human experience. I mean, he's willing to go the distance and even risk his own life for this thrill, this experience that allows him to feel like he's performing his duty, his dharma. Like it just feels right to him. And for the human being, it's like we go the distance in many different ways and on many different levels. Some decide to dive to the depths of the ocean to explore what the earth has to offer. You even have almost like mass scientists trying to expand civilization to different planets, like Raju. You have just a whole type of energy that the human being offers for Earth. And so to me it feels that there's so much essence to the human being, there's so much potential. But at the same time it allows me to think, if we can do so many important things, so many magnificent things on Earth, what to speak of what happens on the inside? Because we're always on the inside, we're always thinking in our minds about what we want to do, what we want to eat. And so just imagine the possibilities that could happen when we decide to dive deep in the depths of consciousness and who we are beyond the limitations of the human body, which at most lasts for 100 years at max. On this next clip is I saw this clip about maybe like 2 years ago, and it's a life of a multi-billionaire who's
Turn the TV down before you turn it
and so this next clip is really, it's an eye-opener because we get to see the experience of a man who has so much influence on Earth at this specific moment in time, building the future of technology for humankind. And you just try to see try to be in his footsteps, try to experience what he's experiencing, and just try to envision what this particular type of human being is endeavoring for.
The sum of the will of humanity. And so if we have billions of people with
You guys know who that guy is?
like AI extension of themselves, it would actually
Okay, so you
this
said
is very esoteric.
you say this is more psi than phi, so you believe we're headed this
I
way.
believe this can be done.
When will I be able to get the interface implant?
It's probably on the order of a decade. And by the way, you kind of have this already in a weird way, in that you have a digital tertiary layer in the form of your phone, your computers, but you basically have these computing devices that form a tertiary layer on your cognition already.
So we have that imprint in our brain, implant in our brain.
Yeah.
We download most of Jim. Then could I, in the digital Jim,
Yes.
could I make him a skilled Mandarin speaker or a tuba player
Yes.
and re-upload it to him?
Yeah. Along the way, Neuralink is going to help solve a lot of nerve problems. Like, so, if I just talk about, okay, what would it take to really solve for spinal cord injuries? We already know how to do this. implant electrodes into the motor cortex of the brain, and then bypass the severed section of the spine and have effectively local microcontrollers near the muscle groups. It could restore full limb functionality. Very exciting what can be done here. And then just memory, like as we get older, lose their memory, and so saying it's incredibly sad when a mother forgets her children, and that can be solved too.
I've seen you speak in person, I've watched some of your interviews. Like sometimes you seem visibly sad about what's happening.
I think we should try to take a set of actions that are most likely to make the future good for humanity. I'm pro-human. And my faith in humanity has been a little shaken this year, but I'm still pro-humanity.
You said that this has been the toughest year for you, the most sort of taxing year for you. Like, why?
Well, I mean, Tesla really faced a severe threat of death due to the Model 3 production ramp. Essentially, the company was bleeding money like crazy, and just if we didn't solve these problems in a very short period of time, we would die. And it was extremely difficult to solve them.
How close to death did you come?
Within single-digit weeks.
22 hours a day? Like, how many
hours? Yeah, so 7 days a week, sleeping in the factory. I worked everywhere to the paint shop, general assembly, body shop.
You ever worry about yourself imploding? Like, it's just too much?
Absolutely. No one should put this many hours into work. This is not good. It's hard. I should not do this. It's very painful. It's my brain and my heart. So it's because if I didn't do it, then Tesla, good chance Tesla would die.
Do you wait when God?
I believe there's some explanation for this universe, which you might call God.
Elon Musk, thank you for an amazing conversation.
That's good. Good answer, Elon.
So, any thoughts that came to mind?
He's not human.
Yeah, when I saw it, I was just amazed. I mean, you see a lot of the work that he's doing, which is creating a lot of impact in the transition to the new technological phase. But at the same time, I'd like to connect back to what the ancient yoga texts say about the human form of life. And although he's doing important work, that doesn't stop us from also being technological geniuses. But within the essence of knowledge, we can understand the bigger picture when it comes to life. See, the human life is, according to the text of yoga, is considered to be one of the most valuable forms within the whole universe. In order to get on the metaphysical side, it's explained that prior to taking the birth of a human, the soul, the consciousness, has to transmigrate, meaning like reincarnation, experience different life forms through almost 8,400,000 species of life before reaching that stage of the human experience. And it makes a lot of sense because when we see an animal, very practically speaking, we have a dog, we can see that there's something about that dog that connects to me. There's certain emotional connection, same with cats, which is the vastness of all animals. There's something there. And so in the human form of life, it allows us to express ourselves in a very different way, in a very conscious way. And we see that all over society. Like I said before, we show it through our different endeavors when it comes to choosing what we want to do on the earth. Some of us do music, some of us want to be scientists, some of us work, have families and things like that. And so the ancient texts of India gave a specific type of aphorism when it comes to human life. That within the responsibility of human life, you have the unique opportunity to inquire about what is life, like what is existence, why am I here, where am I going? And it's a beautiful experience. I could go deeper and deeper in terms of the metaphysics of yoga, including the higher realms of life. It's up to you guys if you guys want to hear about the higher dimensions. Just
Yeah.
a quick rundown. It is said that beings from higher dimensions who are experiencing reality to a far greater pleasurable experience, that when they're in these higher realms, it becomes a bit difficult to dive deeper in spiritual practice because they're just surrounded by pleasures. And they can live for extended periods amount of time and not age one bit. This is all explained in the ancient text. But the human being is in a particular type of position where we experience different flavors of both pleasure and pain simultaneously. One day we might be very happy, the next day something happens and it just affects us. We're also prone to certain things that really make life a bit of a struggle. Starting from birth. Birth is actually full of pain. That's why we come out crying half the time. As we get older, we experience youth and we experience the vigor of youth. We feel the energy. A lot of us are experiencing that right now. And as we get older, we might come across certain things, even in our youth, such as disease. Eventually, we reach old age where different parts of our body begin to ache. And ultimately, death. And so it's explained that in the human form of life, we live for such a short period amount of time that we're specifically engineered to go deeper. In Sanskrit, it's called tapasya, to perform austerity for the sake of inquiring about the self. Austerity is performed through not full control of the senses, but bringing the senses inward where you utilize everything for a higher purpose, to dig deeper in life. And so that's one insight that I got from reading these texts and practicing meditation over the years. One thing that I could say is that the power of human is that it's full of beauty. We are specifically here on this purpose for a reason. We've stumbled across His wisdom for a reason. Whether it be for some very small reasons, such as you like the community here, you like the mantra meditation, perhaps you even just like the food. I agree with you on that. Or you just like somebody in here. That's what it can. Either or, somehow or other, you have stumbled across His knowledge. And so it's a beautiful opportunity to go deeper so that you can take full advantage of the human experience. And that's why Mantra House is here for you guys. It's a wake-up center to come and connect. And gradually, as we move further, we're not just going to try to limit ourselves for just Thursday nights. We're going to try to have more creative nights as we move forward and continue to progress so that we can fully dive deep into that human experience in meditation. And so in order to conclude, this goofy guy here, he wants to end you guys' night with a message, is that utilize your youth to go deeper in life, to try to take advantage of that wonderful opportunity to take life by the horns and go deeper into the essence of life, which goes beyond death. If you really want to connect into wisdom and yoga, because you never know as time goes by. Old age is going to come and
It doesn't affect your arms at all.
you're going to be an infant. So I want to end on that note, and that's the power of human consciousness. So thank you guys.